Boeing stock has corrected almost 20% from its highs, but it may not be done correcting and we may still have more room to drop. So in this video, what I want to do is outline the best case and worst case scenario for the Boeing 737 MAX issues that we've been seeing. And I kind of want to analyze what's going to happen to the stock if we do get the best case scenario or if we get the worst case scenario. So if you're a current Boeing investor or you're considering investing in Boeing, you will want to watch this whole video through. And guys, if you're brand new here, consider subscribing down below if you want more videos just like this one. Now, Boeing has been making headlines all week for its 737 MAX airplanes, and not for the right reasons. Due to the tragic incident that happened recently, a lot of countries and airlines have been banning the planes from flying or even entering their airspace. And honestly, if you're sitting on the sidelines waiting to invest in Boeing, you may be thinking, okay, this is as bad as it's gonna get. A lot of countries have already banned it. How much worse can this really get? Well, that's what I kind of want to walk through you guys today, because I think it can get a lot worse. So I did make a poll here on our community tab and ask you guys what you thought of Boeing stock, if you would consider buying Boeing stock. These are the results. I thought it was pretty interesting. So that means there's a lot of people on the sidelines here, and I think that if the price is right in Boeing, we will get a lot of buyers come into the stock. But anyways, getting into the bulk of the video here, it's not all doom and gloom, because we do have some best case scenarios that could play out here, which could shoot Boeing stock up much higher. So the first best case scenario would be that if Boeing comes out and issues an official statement saying that what caused this crash was nothing to do with the actual Boeing flight, but was unfortunately a pilot mistake. So this would right away remove fears that there's actually something wrong with the Boeing airplanes, and would actually give a huge sigh of relief not only for current Boeing shareholders, but also for companies that have pre-orders on these Boeing aircrafts. This would also mean that Boeing would not have to spend millions of dollars potentially to go out and fix it. So that would be the best case scenario number one. The second best case scenario would be that even if they do have an issue with the aircraft, if it's something software related or something very minor that can be easily fixed, that I think will also be seen as a good thing. Yes, obviously Boeing would still be at fault here, but the fix would not cost them a lot of money. It could be a very quick fix that they could just do overnight. And as a result, this could also help the stock start rebounding higher. Now, I don't think the public will take this news as well as the first best case scenario, but I do think that it'll save Boeing a lot of money and in the end will work out for the best for the company. Third best case scenario would be that all the companies that have recently canceled their orders for these Boeing 737 MAX flights come back in and reverse that decision and just continue on with their orders. This of course will help Boeing meet their revenue targets for the quarter, for the year, and as a result shareholders will be happy as well. And the fourth best case scenario would be that if all these grounding bans are lifted, things will be back to normal for Boeing and shareholders can pretty much take a huge sigh of relief here and just continue on investing in this stock. Now again, these are best case scenarios, and these could help Boeing reach back to its high of nearly $450 per share. But now let's get real and let's discuss the worst case scenarios. Again, what I've done is I've listed 4 worst case scenarios which I think could send Boeing stock a lot lower if any or all of these come true. So the first worst case scenario would be that if Boeing comes out, issues a statement saying that it was in fact their fault, it was in fact a hardware malfunction, and it is going to cost them and take time to fix the issue. So remember, a software issue is a pretty easy fix. You kind of just push a patch to it to fix that issue. But when it's hardware related, that involves replacing components, testing new components, actually going into site and actually physically doing these changes. So there's a lot more work, labor involved, and as a result, a lot more money involved. And this would really result in our second worst case scenario, which is that they will start having to recall some of these flights, and as a result, their balance sheet and fundamentals will get hit. I honestly hope for the company's sake and for shareholders' sake that this does not come true, and honestly it's going to be a very big deal in my opinion if Boeing does say that this was in fact a hardware fault. This would also set a very bad tone for future flights that Boeing builds, because companies will always be skeptical of their products moving forward if that's true. The third worst case scenario is that if companies continue to cancel their orders. And I think honestly the longer that Boeing takes to issue an official statement on the cause of this issue, the more companies are going to come out, feel uncomfortable, and actually cancel their orders, kind of like buyer's remorse here, because these flights are not cheap. They cost around $100 million each. So if there's something fundamentally wrong with them, these companies will not want to purchase these flights. And this is a bit scary for Boeing, because if 10 flights, for example, are canceled, that's going to result in $1 billion lost in revenue. And currently Boeing has a lot of these flights on order. So if this does end up getting pretty bad and companies start canceling their orders left, right, and center, this could cost Boeing billions of dollars. And as a result, I have no doubt that the stock price will start plummeting. The final worst case, which I guess is already starting to come true, is that if flights get grounded and banned globally, Now there's a lot of countries like the US, Canada, Europe that have already banned these flights from flying or entering their airspace, so it's already getting pretty bad for Boeing here. But there's still a lot of countries out there that haven't really made a decision on whether they want to ban it or not. And I think that if this continues, if Boeing does say it's their fault, this flight is going to get banned worldwide. And as a result, it's going to make these flights virtually useless and no one's really going to want to buy them because they can't really use them. So this will not only affect existing orders because it'll most certainly result in canceled orders, but it'll also affect future orders because companies will not be purchasing more of these 737 MAX flights. So all things considered, this 20% correction that we've seen may be a bit overdone if this issue turns out not to be Boeing's fault. But at the same time, if our worst case scenarios start playing out, look out below. When we look at the weekly chart here for Boeing, we can see we're very stretched. During the December correction, we came down to the 100 moving average on the weekly, but since then it's just rebounded hard. So I'd personally be waiting for the price to come back down to at least the 50 moving average, but ideally the 100 moving average on the weekly before I'd want to open a position personally. And when you look at the monthly chart here, we can see that we're even more stretched, and I think that coming down to our 20 moving average is something that will not be very unrealistic, and that's kind of around $333 per share. So Boeing clearly has a lot riding on this, and depending on what they announce, whether it was their fault or not, it's going to make a lot of shareholders very happy that they bought the dip, or it's going to make a lot of shareholders very angry because the stock price could go a lot lower. Like I said, I'm waiting on the sidelines here, and if we do get to the right price, I will consider entering a position in Boeing. So how are you playing Boeing stock? Remember, Boeing is not only a growth stock, but it's also a dividend growth stock, so it's definitely one to keep a close eye on. Also, check out the video here on the screen on 5 things that you want to look for when considering investing in dividend stocks. Either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.